Okay, guys, welcome to the Wrestling Angle. I am Chad Z, and we are here on a Tuesday. It is somewhat sunny here in Lewiston, New York today. It's supposed to be in the 60s, so hopefully we can get outside. I wanted to jump on real quick today and discuss Raw from last night. And, it was the Raw after WrestleMania. And looking back at Mania, that was a little harsh on my criticism of the show. You can tell it's going to take WWE a little bit of time to get back into the swing of things, and they're not used to having fans in the arena, and I think I set my expectations a little too high. So, but when you've been watching wrestling as long as I have, and you've seen good and bad pay-per-views, I would have to put this Mania in the middle of the road. It's just tough. It's tough when things should be booked the way they're booked or the way they should be booked, and then it's just a disappointment. But Mania is done and over with, and let's move on to the new and the old, because it seems like they're going to continue some storylines coming out of Mania. One being Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, and then it looks like that the Fiend and Alexa Bliss are going to separate, and I read a news clip that Alexa Bliss is slowly turning into Sister Abigail, which could bring her and Bray back together again somewhere down the line. And then it seems like Bray Wyatt, from his comments from last night, that he is turning into the old Bray Wyatt, where he has his followers and his fireflies and that type of stuff. So let's hope that that's the case. Maybe the Fiend goes away for a little while, and we get the old Bray Wyatt. I do like what they're doing with Alexa Bliss. The darker character really suits her, and but like everything, you can only hope that the WWE booking committee does not screw it up. I also read something else going back to Mania, that the original plan for the Fiend Randy Orton match was for the Fiend to win, and it got changed at the last minute by Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. I posted on my Facebook page today that I really thought Bruce Pritchard was in touch with what the fans want, and it seems like that he's in that Vince McMahon mode where I'm just going to do what I want, and it doesn't matter what the fans want. I don't know. I mean, we're only going to be able to tell how it plays out in the coming weeks with the Fiend character and Bray Wyatt. So we will see. But let's talk about Raw for a little bit. I wanted to jump on a little early this morning because, one, I'm up, and two, I got some stuff I got to do in the afternoon. So I wanted to make sure I got on sometime today and talked about Raw last night. So first off, we got a vignette with Riddle and Bobby Lashley, and basically Riddle said that he challenges Bobby Lashley to a match tonight, and Bobby Lashley basically says, "Well, you got your butt kicked by Sheamus and lost the United States belt. What gives you the right to have a title match?" And if I remember correctly, he um, he attacks Riddle and basically sets up for the match for the night, which actually opens up the show. So basically, Bobby Lashley, this really made no sense to me. I talked about on the WrestleMania show that I think because Riddle lost the United States belt, that he was going to now challenge Bobby Lashley, which is what happened. But what are you going to do? You're just jobbing him out, and you know it doesn't add to the Riddle character. It doesn't put him. It doesn't make him look strong against Bobby Lashley. Now, even though he did not pin Bobby Lashley for the U.S. belt, so Bobby Lashley never really lost the belt. He was never pinned. Um, it still left Riddle as a credible contender, and so that's why he challenged him for the match at Raw. Um, so basically, what ended up happening during the match is Bobby Lashley basically destroyed Riddle, which made no sense. Um, I guess if I was booking it, I would have had Riddle get a little bit more offense in on Bobby Lashley to to have him look more like a credible opponent. But that's not what happened. So Bobby Lashley ended up defeating Riddle with the Hurt Lock, and we go on from there. It should be noted that um, the announce teams have changed. It's now Corey Graves, who was from SmackDown, Byron Saxton, and Adnan Virk. Um, except for the fact that Corey Graves and Saxton basically overshadowed Virk, he did a pretty good job. The only thing that he did do, though, is we got the return of the Viking Raiders last night, and they went up against the former Hurt Business of Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. And he called them, instead of calling them the Viking Raiders, he called them the Viking Express. So, I started having flashbacks to when Mike Adamle was part of the announce team, and he would screw up everybody's name. Like he called Jeff Hardy Jeff Harvey, and it was just a failed experiment. I don't think Adnan Virk is going to be that bad of an announcer, but the one thing I would do is have Corey Graves and Saxton back off a little bit and let this kid or let this guy let him have his voice heard. You want him to be he's got big shoes to fill. You know, Michael Cole, who is on SmackDown, is basically the standard bearer for commentators over there in the WWE. Just like Jim Ross is the standard bearer for AEW. everybody, each commentator has their own style. I have a love-hate relationship with Michael Cole just because he's not really well liked. He's part of creative too, and but you know what? He's been around a long time, and he has gotten better over the years. So they need to give this guy a chance and let him have his voice heard. So, so that was that. So Bobby Lashley ended up defeating Riddle, and like I said, it was basically a beatdown match. Um, After the match, Lashley stands tall as his music hits. Lashley and MVP raise the strap and continue the celebration as we get the replays. We're going to get a rematch for the Raw Women's title. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. So Rhea's defending her title against Asuka tonight, or last night, I should say. So a rematch from WrestleMania. Kevin Patrick's in the back. He's talking to Rhea Ripley. Basically, congratulates her. Kevin Patrick is the new backstage interviewer. He's been on a couple weeks now, and he's not doing too bad of a job. And basically, Ripley says that she's going to have a rematch with Asuka, and to be perfectly honest with you, wasn't that bad of a match. It was actually better than the WrestleMania match. Didn't have a lot of rest holds. It kept moving quite a bit, and you can tell that the girls planned out the match. So next up, we got the returning Viking Raiders versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. It was a pretty good back and forth match, but you can see that the Viking Raiders have a little bit of ring rust on them. So that'll take a little time to work off, but I'm not going to get on them about that. The one thing that I will say is I don't like the fact that they're jobbing out Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. It's just not right. Yeah, they moved on from MVP, but let's make them a credible tag team. And, or maybe, even if they're going to do something, split them up and have them continue their bickering. And then, but don't just job them out. And make them. There's an easy way to make both tag teams shine. Yeah, you're looking. You want the Viking Raiders who are coming back to get the win. That's great, but at least let the former Hurt Business get some offense in, which they did. I mean, it was a good back and forth match, but there's a way to booking the match where you can have both tag teams shine, and it just wasn't it. So you can tell WWE wants the Viking Raiders to be the tag team to get pushed. So hey, I want to thank League of Legends for the new for the follow. I appreciate it. I want to thank It's a Milo for the follow. Thank you. So we got that. Next up, we got a promo from Charlotte Flair. And this is where I want to spend the majority of this, a little bit of time talking about. This is what WWE needs more. They need more shoot style promos from their superstars, taking real life situations and bringing them into the storyline. So the storyline going was that Rhea Ripley basically took Charlotte's spot because it was I want to welcome in League of Legend 17.
Hello, it's
John C.
League of Legend is asking who's the GOAT. John Cena, Tyler Hero, Patrick McGraw, or Logan Paul. I would probably have to say John Cena. Logan Paul is, I think that's just a one-off thing, and you're probably not going to see him on the show anymore. So, going back to the Charlotte thing, this is what they need more of. They need more shoot-style promos. This is what gets people interested. You know, if you want to go back to the Monday Night Wars, when you were a fan watching both shows, yeah, that's true. He does have 3 rings. But John Cena has, 15 championships, world title reigns. So, you're talking about a real sport against entertainment. So you need, when you go back to Monday Night Wars, you gotta think that when you were watching both shows, you didn't know who was going to show up. You didn't know what was going to happen when a person got in the ring and they grabbed the microphone. Anything could have happened. And this is what you got from Charlotte last night. And saying that Rhea Ripley basically stole, she had COVID. It wasn't her fault that Lacey Evans got pregnant and basically took her off the WrestleMania card. You could have very well inserted Charlotte into any one of the women's storylines, whether it be the tag team storyline or even one of the women's heavyweight belts. You can tell that she was pissed that she was left off of WrestleMania. And you saw that after the promo, and then when Asuka and Rhea Ripley came out for the Raw Women's title match, Charlotte attacked both girls, inserting herself into that storyline. So you're probably going to see a 3-way match at WrestleMania Backlash, which, by the way, they changed the name from just Backlash to WrestleMania Backlash, which kind of makes sense since it's the show after Mania, and so. Anyways, the Raw Women's title match was a good back and forth, matchup, and it was basically ruled a no contest because Charlotte Flair attacked both women, and you can tell that she's pissed. And that's the type of stuff that you want to see. Later on, when we talk about the main event, I'll tell you how I would book the outcome of the main event with what happened. So Charlotte comes out, she attacks both girls, and then basically inserts herself into that storyline. So, if Asuka doesn't go away, which is rumored that she's going to go away for a little bit just to have her mouth fixed, we'll get Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, which is a rematch from WrestleMania 36. But this time it'll be hopefully with a crowd and at WrestleMania Backlash. So we go to the back and we see Miz and Morrison backstage, and they have Maurice. And Maurice is actually going to be on Miz TV. And basically, she was just there to promote Ms. and Mrs., which is a pretty entertaining show, I should say. I watched the season premiere of it, and it was pretty cool. So, I don't know how much of that show is scripted, though. So, which I would think the majority of it is. I can't imagine all that goofy stuff happening in that house that often. It can't be that exciting. I mean, I realize they have two kids and they have this big mansion and they have, his dad and the two moms there and all that type of stuff, but all that goofy stuff can't be happening all at once. So I would imagine some of that stuff is scripted. Um, so then we come back from the break, and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are watching the replay from WrestleMania and of Mandy Rose slipping. So they're taking this botch that happened with Mandy Rose, and they're inserting it into the storyline with Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke challenging for the tag team championships, which happens later on that night. I'll talk about it now. They basically, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose come out. When they come down the ramp, they're basically trying not to slip. They're making fun of what happened. And during the match, Nia Jax slips off the ring apron and hits the floor. And basically, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke back out and say that they don't want any part of Nia Jax. So we're going to see a feud between these two teams, which makes sense because I believe Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose were set to win that turmoil match, and that's not ended up happening. There was a wardrobe malfunction, and there was a couple botches during that match, including the slip with Mandy Rose. So, next up, we get Alexa Bliss backstage at her playground, and so Alexa Bliss's playground, basically explaining why she did what she did, and saying that she doesn't, maybe the darkness turned light, meaning she doesn't need the Fiend. And maybe this darkness that she has been there all along, and the Fiend just brought it out. So it looks like they're going to have more of a darker Alexa Bliss character, which I actually like. If she splits off from the Fiend, that would be great. And we have a Firefly Funhouse later on in the show, and Bray explains that they never needed Alexa Bliss. Basically, the puppets are some of them are saying, like, the bunny says, or the rabbit says that he misses Alexa Bliss, and then Abby basically says, I never liked that bitch anyways, but they bleeped out bitch. So you got a little bit of toss up between the characters of the Firefly Funhouse. Bray says that he's moving on, and whether that moving on means bringing the Fiend back or not, or going back to his old character. So if he goes back to his old character, I think that would work better for him. Maybe the Fiend goes away for a little bit, and it's similar to when Finn Balor stopped doing the Demon. You know, you get overexposure when you do it too much. Like, the Demon should only be brought out in special occasions. Like, similar to, like, The Undertaker. The Undertaker was a special attraction. Why not make the Fiend into a special attraction? And he only comes back when Bray really needs him. So Bray can go back and forth from character to the old Bray Wyatt to the Fiend, and we'll see what happens come going forward. But it does look like that Alexa Bliss and the Fiend are no longer together. So, and Alexa introduced her own character in her playground, and it's a sock puppet called Lily. So, which looked kind of creepy. Next up, we got basically Miz and Morrison in the ring, and they have Maurice. You can tell that they may be teasing the fact that maybe Miz and Morrison might be breaking up and maybe going singles, because they were kind of arguing back and forth with each other, and they end up facing Damian Priest right after the Miz TV segment. So, and Maurice has actually gone on record and said that she thinks John Morrison is kind of goofy, so and acts goofy. But I think they're best friends in real life, and I think they're just trying to add viewers to Miz and Mrs. So next up, Damian Priest ends up facing Miz and Morrison in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Nothing that big here, other than that Miz and Morrison end up beating Priest, which makes sense because it's a 2-on-1 match. And the rumor going around is that Damian Priest is working with a shoulder injury, so that's why Bad Bunny worked most of the match on Saturday night. So, so that's that. So we go to the back and we get. I already talked about the Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, and Mandy Rose match, so I'll just skip over that. We see a replay of Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania 37. And then Lashley is set to address the fans. We come back from break, and MVP's in the ring. He says that Lashley's going to join him in a little bit. And basically, Drew McIntyre interrupts, followed by Braun Strowman, followed by Randy Orton, which sets up the main event for Raw, and that is a triple threat match between Braun Strowman, Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre. And the winner goes on to face Bobby Lashley. Next up, we got Braun Strowman basically stopping Drew McIntyre in the back and basically says to him, "Don't insult my intelligence. You should go to the back of the line. You lost at WrestleMania." Which, you know what, he kind of has a point. Drew should go to the back of the line. Maybe it should have been just Randy Orton and Braun Strowman in the main event. It's clearly they have no plans for Braun Strowman after his match with Shane McMahon. As you'll see later on, who knows what they're doing with Randy Orton. We get a recap of Charlotte attacking Rhea Ripley and Asuka. Next up, we got the New Day versus Elias and Jackson Ryker. Nothing really big here. It was a pretty good tag team match. We got to see Elias and Jackson Ryker work really good as a tag team. Um, they have similar body styles too, so that works for them. But the New Day ends up picking up the win. Randy Orton is shown backstage. He talks about how he was distracted at WrestleMania 37, as it appears the Fiend and Alexa Bliss have disappeared. So now he is focused on the title picture. So he is now in the title picture, at least for the main event. We come back from commercial, and we get the Firefly Funhouse. And basically, I talked about this earlier. Bray basically comes on, says that he's moving on from Alexa Bliss. The characters go back and forth, meaning the puppets, and he basically the reason why I think he's going back to his old gimmick is that he basically went around to all the puppets and said that you're healed. So like he's an evangelist, like he needs followers, or he's a cult leader, or, which is what the original Bray Wyatt character was. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and let's hope that they book it right. So next up we got the main event. So we got Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton versus Braun Strowman. And Drew McIntyre ends up winning. And I have a big problem with this because Braun Strowman has a point. Drew McIntyre should go to the back of the line. He had his chance. He won. He didn't win Elimination Chamber, Daniel, or yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Scratch that. I'm talking about Smack. I'm getting SmackDown and Raw confused. So he should go to the back of the line, and here's why. He lost at WrestleMania, so let him work his way back up to the title picture. Have him chase for the title. Don't put him back in the title picture right away, because you're just getting the same storyline. The whole point of WrestleMania and the Raw after WrestleMania is to start brand new stories. And if you're going to continue the same story going into WrestleMania, which we saw 4 weeks prior, you're just losing your audience. This is where I thought they should have had either Randy Orton or Braun Strowman win the match. Randy Orton would have been good, because then that would have gotten him away from the Fiend and Alexa Bliss, and he can move on to a different storyline. Doesn't necessarily mean he needs to win the belt, even though you'd have two heels going against each other, which WWE doesn't like doing. They want a good guy and a bad guy, and Randy Orton and Bobby Lashley are basically both bad guys. But on the flip side of it, they could be teasing the fact that Bobby Lashley is turning babyface. And here's why. Because at the beginning of the show, when he walks in and he's confronted by Matt Riddle, he's bumping fists with all the locker room. So is that a tease that he's gonna turn babyface? Who knows? We'll just have to see from the coming weeks. But Drew McIntyre ended up winning this match, but then he was attacked by the former Retribution members, meaning Mace and T-Bar. And there was a little bit of difference here with both these guys. T-Bar was not wearing his makeup than he generally wears underneath it. Mace had his on, but T-Bar didn't. And here's how I would book this. Okay, so they came out and interfered against after McIntyre won the number one contenders match. Here's how I would book this for next week. Have T-Bar and Mace come out with MVP, and they're now part of the Hurt Business. And basically, they're dressed up in their Retribution garb, and I would have them rip off the masks and basically cut a shoot-style promo saying that this gimmick, meaning Retribution, wasn't going to work from day one. And that's why they separated themselves from Ali, and this is why they attacked Ali, and they want to go with a better manager, meaning MVP. But I wouldn't have them continue wearing the masks. You can have these guys be a tag team. Both of them, although they haven't wrestled too much as a tag team, but you can have them as a credible tag team. And even with MVP as their mic person, could set up a tag team title match down the line after they're done with the Drew McIntyre storyline. So that's how I would book it, and but we'll see. We'll have to see what WWE does. All in all, it was a pretty good Raw. You know, there was a couple blunders here and there, but that's going to be par for the course with the new commentator, and then them bringing guys back. The one disappointment that I thought is that we've yet to see Becky Lynch. It's going to be interested to see if she shows up on SmackDown, which would be a great time for her, and it would be a good way to pop a rating for SmackDown. What I would do right off the bat is insert her into the title picture, have her come out and challenge Bianca Belair, and have Bianca get the win over her at WrestleMania Backlash. This gives credibility to Bianca's title reign, and it gets Becky Lynch back in the focus of the fans. And the reason why I would put her on SmackDown and not Raw is because you already have a built-in storyline there, because that's where the man started, over on SmackDown. And she can say that she's coming back to reclaim what's rightfully hers, although there's an instant storyline for Raw as well, because she never lost the Raw Women's title. But they could insert her into the storyline with Bayley being attacked by the Bellas. They could bring Becky Lynch back as a heel and have her team with Bayley. Or they can just basically do what they were continuing to do before she went out to have her baby. And the man gimmick is basically a tweener role. It could be either a heel or it can be a babyface. Similar to the way Steve Austin was. So it's going to be interesting this week to see how these storylines play out, and how they play out on TV. Raw is generally SmackDown is generally better than Raw. So we'll see how that works out. As far as latest news and stuff like that, I'm going to direct you to my Facebook page, which is the Wrestling Angle 1, and I've been posting news all morning on Raw outcomes and storylines to come. So I'll have you go to my Facebook page if you want to check that out. And of course, you can follow me on all my socials, which are going to be on my stream ending page and they're on my stream beginning page. And once again, I want to thank it's Melio and League of Legends 17 for the new follows. I believe that puts me at 47 followers, so I'm 3 away from hitting that 50, which I'm very excited about. And I'm in the process of creating a Discord for the Wrestling Angle, so we can go in there when I'm off stream and we can talk about wrestling, and people can leave. One of the things that I'm going to put in there is pictures with wrestlers, everyday chat about wrestling, stream announcements, and that type of stuff. So that's in a process. I just started working on it today before I started streaming. So hopefully, maybe by the end of this week, I'll have it up and running, and we can start our own Wrestling Angle community, and everybody can go in there and talk about wrestling. So, but with that being said, I'm going to call it a day. I had announced at the beginning of the stream it was going to be a short stream, basically just talking about Raw. My next show is probably going to be tomorrow to talk about both AEW Dark and NXT, which premieres tonight, their new night on Tuesday. And basically we're going to have wrestling every day of the week. So we're going to have Raw on Mondays, NXT on Tuesdays, AEW Dark on Tuesdays, AEW Dynamite on Wednesdays, Thursdays is going to be Impact, and Friday is going to be SmackDown. And Saturday is going to be whatever indie show is going on. So there's tons of indies going on right now, and everything seems to be getting back to normal with the world after COVID. It's been a slow go, and so we'll see what happens. So, but I'm gonna call it a day, guys. I appreciate everybody joining me. I appreciate my new follows, and like I said, go to my Facebook page to check out news. I'm constantly posting stuff from my websites that I get news from. And obviously you can follow me on my socials, which you will see at the stream ending page. So everybody have a good Tuesday, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Talk to you later, guys.